the stock market, meaning companies, new highs.
I'm not fucking leaving. The show goes on. Nuts! They're nuts! They know nothing!
An online network called Internet.
Well, it's very hip to be on the internet right now.
Welcome, my degenerates. The rest of your life starts right now on Market Mania, the no bullshit approach to all financial markets, including, well, just today, NFTs. I brought in some of my favorite NFT gurus that are going to talk us through some of these things. I gotta say, I'm still a little bullish on these. I don't quite understand them. I'm going to have some harder questions today. Maybe these guys can help me answer it. But, I mean, right out the gate, let me introduce Michael Laake. I call him a Cryptomancer. He's the hedge fund manager for Crypto IQ. That's the hedge fund we were talking about starting there, and do a little consulting around. And then we've got Brett Ritchie, who's done a lot of work in NFT stuff. He's always coming on Market Mania talking about NFTs. So we're going to lean on their expertise to try and figure these out today in and amongst a crazy day in other markets. Looks like the Dow and S&P are ripping. Bitcoin's doing well. The 10-year's well over 2%. That could be interesting. So we'll follow that on Thursday. Today, let's get into NFTs. First one I want to talk about is Lynx DAO. Now, Michael, I know you were bullish on this one. Steph Curry was a part of this one. And Brett, pre-show a few days ago, you were ripping on Lynx DAO. So let's put it out there. There's meat in the middle of the arena. Michael, let's start with you. Why are you bullish on Lynx DAO, and what is it?
Sure. So you got to be really careful in this space. There's a lot of hype. There's a lot of things that are driven by, speculation, whatnot. This was something that I saw. I was able to get into the minting of. Generally, that is like what is widely considered like the initial round or like the beginning phase of a lot of these projects. So certainly, from an investment standpoint, that's one of the better places to start. But from a concept standpoint, more of what it's trying to do, and obviously there's a lot of attempts at speculation here. There's another company involved, so the token has limited direct access to what it can provide. But when I think of what the benefits of NFTs are, when I think of network effects, when I think of community, some forms of centralization coming together with similar properties, the idea of the country club on the blockchain or in a metaverse style thing made a lot of sense. Also, just as an investor, when I think of like target audiences to invest in, honestly, I want to invest in golfers more than anything. Generally, they're wealthy individuals. Generally, they're most likely to be gamblers in some form. I feel like there was a lot of overlap in what the space is and what this space is trying to attack. And so, the long story short is they're trying to use a decentralized autonomous organization and purchase some golf course, whether that be in Florida or somewhere else in the U.S., and make that, some sort of investment through the DAO and see where that experiment takes place. And so, there's lots of ways that can screw up. But as far as like risk reward, this was one that I was pretty excited about.
All right. So I got some counterpoints to that. Fair enough. Like you make good points. It is certainly possible for this to succeed. The reasons I'm bearish. So they raised $10.4 million. Okay, it's just three guys. Okay, apparently they did this for the costs of spinning up the DAO or whatever. I don't know how that costs $10 million. So you get three guys that are making $10 million. $0 of that goes to buying the actual golf course, right? They need to raise more capital to buy a course. So they just get $10 million. Your token, by the way, that you buy doesn't even give you the membership to the course. It's only a right to purchase. So you basically get nothing. They get 10 million. Then they need to raise more capital. You got to pay up more again if they actually buy a golf course. And the founder of it is historically has been the single most unhinged person on Twitter I've ever followed. He started the block. No, Judas. He started the block and he would just go in these crazy rants, insulting people, deleting all his tweets, like 2017, 2018. Maybe he's changed. You know, I talk a lot of shit on Twitter too, so like I'm not one to judge, but there's like enough flags for me here to say this just doesn't make sense. I don't know why you're giving these 3 people 10 million to then have the right to give them more money to then buy the golf course. Like that doesn't make sense to me.
Sure. I mean, you bring up several solid points. I guess my counter argument to at least the Twitter follow is I haven't personally had anything near a deranged experience following this guy on Twitter. You know,
I think he mellowed out, man. I think it was he started the block. I think it was like a lot of pressure in that 2017, 2018 range. So, you know, that's just my personal.
That's a lot of time in this space, in my opinion, as well.
You know, it's that's like a minor point, but it's enough when I see these other, like, why are we just giving, you know, it doesn't cost 10 million. Like, I don't understand the like use of proceeds as claimed. I would have thought some of the 10 million might go towards the actual course, but it's not.
Sure. I mean, one of the counter arguments too that you brought up about the actually getting the membership to the course, from my understanding, and this point kind of made sense to me. Clearly, I'm not a member of any exclusive golf course, but in the event that this succeeds, the supply and demand are just going to be not the same. So, you know, the idea of being able to have the privilege to purchase these theoretically has value all on its own. Whether that delivers, that's a long shot for sure.
Yeah, I if I bought these, I'm just playing greater fool theory here. I don't think this is like a sterling purchase based. You know, there's a long way to go before you're actually, you know, on a golf course that you own a piece of. From here to there.
Brett, Steph Curry owns one of these. Come on.
If I made $50 million a year, I would buy a ton of nonsense NFTs too. So like, sure. I know people are like, oh, Steph bought one. Yeah, okay, what does it cost? $1,500 or, you know, it's like, it's totally irrelevant. He likes golf. He likes NFTs. He's insanely wealthy. So it's cool that he bought one, but you know,
I do know for sure they were in some conversations with a couple of actual PGA golfers. Now that is definitely some speculation that I don't believe is public information or even fully real yet, but you know, in the event that something like that happens, certainly could be a bullish case there. That's more
there's
of the bull
case. Yeah, there's a bull case here for sure. I think the legal aspects then of this community on DAO stuff, that also gets a little tricky, and especially when you're one of the first ones, your legal bills are going to be higher. So I can see why you know, they might want to hang on to this 10 million for like operations. But yeah, I'm out. But I get
legal fees.
Yeah, it's not going to be cheap.
All right, well, Brett, let's talk about one that I know you're kind of excited about, or at least wanted to talk about. This one called Lost Souls. Let me pull up that one here. Okay, so what are we looking at here? I've clicked on this floor price.
Yeah,
and
so the LSS, so that's the highest gain in a day by percent. It's all blurry, but it was like 180% last I saw. Correct me, whatever that number is, because I can't see it.
187%, yep.
Murder 187. So the Lost Souls, they minted back maybe last August or September, and they were like 0.03. They ran up to 0.1 that first night, and then it was like a long, like if you go back up, you can probably see their like chart history. If you expand that thing down, maybe, yeah. So you can see they had these like long periods of lulls, and so one of my favorite things in NFTs is finding the sort of left for dead projects that are still actively building, right? That have a shot because they're very cheap. So I've minted a bunch of these. I've been buying, you know, throughout. Also, like I bought another one just earlier this week, or I guess last week. And so they released, you know, a blog post. Like I've been following them, so I knew that they were building stuff, but a lot of people didn't realize that. There's a tweet somewhere in there, So they're building. They've been building. They actually pivoted into Lost Souls. They were doing a DeFi thing. They did the Lost Souls. Now they have this sort of marketplace DeFi thing coming out, and the market kind of woke up to this last night. It basically tripled overnight. It's more like a double if you consider the gas price. But when you have Looks Rare, which kind of fumbled the ball, right? It looks like a lot of the money is going to, like, the team's making insane amounts of money out of the initial rewards. Like, they're kind of struggling. There's all this demand for an OpenC competitor. You know, whether or not the Lost Souls are going to pull this off, I have no idea. But, like, they shouldn't have been 0.02, right? If they're actually building these things. They've shown teasers of it, of their, like, 2D metaverse. It looks like an old school Nintendo game with the ghosts running around. So I like it. You know, it's a legitimate team, and they were left for dead, and it was, like, super cheap. So these are the plays I kind of like, and then it's fun when they start getting on a run. You get to see how far it's going to go.
Interesting. So I just don't get it. I mean, how did you know this was going to go on a run, or what? Why this?
I didn't
one and
know,
not
but
any other weird JPEG. What is it about?
So,
is it the team? Is it the artist? Is it the construction? The process?
it's a lot of it with this project. So in this particular instance, I think what's helping a lot is that Looks Rare is basically fumbling the ball, right? Looks Rare came in as this OpenC competitor. The market really received it well. Then people are looking at, well, the team, you know, paid themselves a crazy sum through Tornado Cash of the initial rewards distribution. Now that the rewards got cut, volume's way down, the FUD started. They're as vulnerable as they've been since they've launched Looks Rare. And so here's another kind of, hey, this is a community-driven marketplace. And there's a lot of concern around the Looks Rare tokenomics, right? And so the Lost Souls are saying, look, we've been building this marketplace, and it's another chance for the tokenomics to potentially turn out better overall. So it's basically, you know, one, you have like the NFT itself, which the market didn't really receive terribly well. And then you have the utility that the Ghost, right? You're going to get tokens from it. You're going to get access potentially to some of their tools. I'm not sure exactly how it's going to work, but you will get tokens. You can stake your ghosts. And so, yeah, it's a bet on this team. To whatever extent they can succeed, I don't know. But, like, you can get 5 of these or 10 of these, or, like, one of the latest Instagram hyped up total bullshit mint that everyone's falling all over themselves to get. Like, the pricing in a lot of ways doesn't make sense. You know, these things are still very cheap compared to a lot of other projects in this space. Like, you can grab 5 of these, which has, in my opinion, you know, significantly better upside than like the serial club nonsense that's going on later today.
So then, real quick, let me ask you a couple questions. Now, obviously, none of this is financial advice. This is a bunch of
not
guys
at all
goofing
high
off.
risk.
This is all a bunch of guys goofing off and just trying to sort out a bunch of nonsense in our heads. But I guess, like, how many other projects do you think fit into this bucket, or was this kind of a unique case? Or is there anything else that's like in this category that you're, you know, something that's already had like, I think most of these projects are going to have like the first generation hype, then there's like a second generation hype, and then there's a third generation hype, and whether that's like actual product or news driven, you know, is each product or each individual.
So this is one of my favorite like ways to play the space when everybody's chasing like the latest hype mints or whatever. There is a lot of projects that are still building, right, that have been left behind for some extent by the community, but it's like there are legitimate teams that are like reinvesting their resources into growing project. I think Wicked Craniums is a good example of this. They just hired another guy the other day. They've been one of my favorite projects. Like, the market's never really caught on to them. You know, you have other projects like Pudgy Penguins that mooned, even though the founders just took all the cash, you know. And so I like, if I can find a legitimate team that's going to keep working, even when like things are bleak. That's the kind of play I like, because they're not making any more 2021 NFTs, right? And so at some point, we've seen the hype cycle of like 2018, 2019, 2020, and to some extent, the archaeologists dig these things up and like find them. I think there's going to be some big winners from out of this, like currently dead, you know, 0.1 or below crop of 2021 NFTs. Crypto Leos and the Tripped Out Leos. That's another one that I really like. Again, like, they're still a vibrant community. They're still dropping them in April 1st. The collection's gonna finish. You know, the NFT birds is another one. Apemon is another one where it was the first rug and then the community took it over and they're like trying to pull something off. Like there's a lot of random stuff. New bloom flowers. Like there's dozens of these projects, of which at least some of them I think are going to have some like pretty big returns, like at least a 10x from a sub 0.1 floor.
I have a quick question here. So this would be the first, if I were to look into something like this would be my first excuse to use something like the Genie app that lets you sweep a floor and like do it all in one Ethereum transaction. Have you ever interacted with that?
Yeah, Genie and then Gem XYZ. Both of those are good ways to like make a bulk purchase.
Yeah, like one of my big hesitations for purchasing 5 of anything on Ethereum is the fact that I'm most likely going to have to pay. Now, gas has been relatively cheap recently, and I know how to move the GUI around and move the tip around and whatnot, at least to some degree. But I also don't want to leave something on the blockchain for too long, have somebody steal it from underneath me and have a failed transaction either. So this would be my first excuse to want to look at Genie for the floor sweeping, and that'd be cool.
I think Genie and then Gem, they're good. And then the other benefit potentially of using these is, again, we've seen a lot of these projects with retroactive tokens, right? So Genie or Gem does a token based on activity. Typically, you know, if you've used it at all, you might get a little slice, and then depends on volume from there. It's good to like, I've used both, right? If you do get into using these tools more often, I think either, you know, pick your favorite or mix it up and just have exposure to both in case they do a token.
Wow, man, this stuff's getting so far afield. You just got to follow it every single day just to keep up with it. I mean, so Michael and I were talking about this other one. I actually minted my first AI-generated NFT. I want to run this by you guys and see what you think. Let's see here. I got so many screens up. All right, there we go. Okay, so these are called epoheroes by Art AI. So the idea is this AI algorithm, you type in the description of this RPG hero that you want to create, and this RPG hero comes with certain traits and certain categories, just like you'd find in any RPG game. They can be neutral, good, or evil. They can have a different class like assassin or wizard or things like that. Then you type in what the facial features of this hero are going to look like, and then the AI generates it based on how descriptive you can be. So I was trying to make this one look like someone I know, someone pretty close to me. I think I got pretty close, and I noticed that it had one of these traits on the face here, that red sort of tattoo there, which is, I guess, a rare trait that this AI generates. Now, Michael, you were saying later today or tomorrow, the rarity of each of these traits is going to be released, and that will help sort of some price discovery on these NFTs, assuming they're valuable at all. So I've got a few questions. One, yes, we've created an RPG character, but there's no game to which the character is assigned. So what's the value there? Making games is hard. Making games is really hard. Why would they use this character and not just create their own? Why would they include someone else in this ecosystem? And B, well, I guess let's just start there. What's the value in making a character for a game that's not even made yet? I mean, it's cool. The AI is cool. But so where's the value here?
So they're going to hopefully complete a game, right, or launch a game. Everybody in the world is promising a game now, right? And so it is. I'm always a little wary, but especially of like anonymous teams, like the Eponym team. They are a legitimate team, right? It's like a team of about, I think, 10. They have a really cool art AI engine. I've used this. I actually got an honorary one of these epoheroes, and then I minted like 10 others or so. One of the bigger problems was the gas was so crazy because a lot of these traits are on chain that like a normal mint is like 0.05 to like 0.01 kind of gas on Ethereum. This was like 0.05 to like 0.08. It was very expensive. People hate paying gas at that price. So to me, you know, one, it's fundraising, right? To build the character for the game that doesn't exist yet. It's like different hype or whatever you want to say. But the thing is, you could go on OpenC, buy one of these, and you get to re-roll it. You can rename it and regenerate the image for free. So it's like the AI is cool. It's worth playing around with. And like that also like helps the floor theoretically, where the cheapest one, even if it like sucks or you don't like it, you can just buy it and then re-roll it in your own image. So I think it's a cool project.
It is a cool project in that, some of these people were targeting to make the AI generate an image that looked like somebody in real life. So if you could get a Spider-Man looking guy here or a Scarlett Johansson or something, the idea is that it would, or Ariel, that looks like Disney's Ariel. The idea is that it would be more valuable at that point too, or just a really unique look or a rare trait. But I guess, I'm just staring into the abyss of project after project after project that could claim to do the same thing. This is really putting so many carts ahead of even one horse if you're saying you're going to generate all these characters that hopefully somebody uses down the road in an RPG. I love the process, I love the project, but I think that part of it seems a little far afield, just because I know that making games, especially successful ones that stand the test of time, is very difficult. So is that a pipe dream?
I mean, so let's talk about, some of the other factors here. Clearly, I believe this team is small, and this is the third product they've delivered in what I consider to be a relatively short NFT space. I am not involved in the first 2 mints, and I honestly am relatively jealous of the people that were. I think that the products that they're producing has really impressed me so far. And if a small team is delivering this, then I'd like to see what else they could do. And so there is a little bit of blind trust there. There's a little bit of let's see it. But I think Brett knows one of the people they did hire. And that's just somebody we know and like a lot. And like it's somebody that I'm just willing to bet on.
Yeah, she's one of my close friends in this space. And so the thing about Eponym, right? A lot of these projects raise this capital, $1 million or a couple $1 million, and then the founders, they just take it or sit on it or whatever. Like Eponym, they're docs, they're real people, right? And they're actually putting like the funds into play on development. Like they're hiring people, they're spending money. So that's the kind of in the AI is cool. So to me, that's the kind of team I like backing with all these scams and like Instagram influencers or whatever. It's like, okay, like here's a team with a pretty cool product, that's not going to outright fuck you. Okay. Like that to me is like, kind of a horse I'm willing to get behind, especially at these prices. Like, and the gas was crazy to mint these, but it's not crazy if you buy it or like that part's over. So I think there's still some like sticker shock from the initial gas price, and like the mint on these just did not go as intended. I do believe in large part just because the gas was so crazy. But those are like, that's a team I'm willing to fire on. A real team with cool tech that actually cares and is like willing to use the revenue they get to push the project on, even if it's still high risk. Like that's a better bet than a lot of these anonymous teams, in my opinion.
So I'm looking at some of the top listed ones. I mean, this one called Proto Molecule is listed for 300 Ethereum. I mean, come on.
Well, no one's gonna pay. I mean, people, you can list it for whatever you want.
You want to look more at offers.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, all right. This is all mysterious and weird to me. I do like this project, but I think we're gonna have to spend a little bit more time talking about NFTs. And to our audience, we might crack off just an NFT specific show. I'm thinking about doing that, so let me know if that's something you'd be interested in, and then we can focus Market Mania more on stonk markets, which are also having some crypto-like gains today. It's pretty fun. So before we let you go, though, we do like to do the pick of the day, so let me put on the safety glasses here and a little crooked. It's like how we like it. And let us do the Market Mania pick of the day.
Drop it like it's hot. Everybody stack them, stacking to the top.
Okay, well, we've got some good ones today. Brett Ritchie, what is your Market Mania pick of the day?
I'm gonna roll with the Lost Souls here. Even though they've already almost, I would say, doubled if you include gas overnight. that's really good too. When you get from that 0.02 to 0.03 range, and now you're up north of 0.06, when gas gets crazy, like you can really head into this dead man's land. And it's just something where, like, if it gets to say 0.2, big if, but then you can really start running when the gas price is so much less than the item price. Like sub 0.1, people get sticker shock. They go to click buy 0.06, and then it's like 0.09 with gas. They're like, I don't know. So, it's a bet again on this, DeFi marketplace tokenomics. Can they deliver or ship something? I don't know, but it's like a pretty low entry point, and the upside scenario is big. It's just how often does that hit? And I have no idea, but I'm along for the ride here.
All right, Michael Laake, you got something better than that?
Well, we'll see. I'm not a lost soul, but some could argue otherwise. I think Brett queued up my pick of the day quite nicely earlier by fudding looks rare. That's where I'd like to go with my pick of the day. He made all the great points. This drop was relatively expected. I think that what they've delivered in a short period of time is the best product in the marketplace. And until anybody shows me otherwise, this is a correction that I think I'm willing to take a dip on.
Okay.
I don't mind that buying the dip here, by the way, on looks rare. I just mean that in general, the market does have, like, looks rare is as vulnerable as they've ever been right now.
I agree with that completely.
But I also think it might have dipped too far.
I think the market overcorrected a little. Is all I'm willing to say.
I can get behind that.
All right, looks rare at 211. I am not picking an actual NFT project, but I like Theta Network and T-Fuel because they've got their own NFT, really robust ecosystem on top of it. They're doing the WPT things, and I like the Theta Network concept. It's a SWAN network, a software wide area network, meaning you use everyone else's resources to basically provide resources into bandwidth, into encoding, sending out data. You don't have to go through like a centralized ISP or content provider. You can just it works a lot more like a BitTorrent, and you can get paid for participating in that. So I like Theta. Get yourself some Theta, some T-Fuel, and their new T-Drop. I think that's going up. Anyway, I think we gotta call it a show there. Michael, thank you so much for joining us today. I know you've got a busy afternoon, but we really appreciate you coming in and talking us through some of this stuff. I mean, I certainly don't understand it all, but I think there's something really important here that's happening, and I'm really excited to see some of the other applications beyond just artwork and fun meme things that happen in the future. I could see this removing passwords for every website. I could see access control, opening doors. Everything we care about can end up being an NFT. So we'll keep a close eye on it, and as long as we do, we'll keep bringing it to you fine folks if you keep watching. I've only got one little bit of word of wisdom to leave with you. That's Douglas Adams. My favorite piece of wisdom he ever gave is just don't panic and bring a towel. All right, we'll see you next Thursday, if there is a next Thursday. But for now, it's lights out.
I never sleep if I don't have my medicine. I never sleep if I don't have my medicine. I never sleep if I don't have. I never sleep. I never sleep if I don't have my medicine. Time to right the wrong. So your hands in the air if you like the song. If you're going over there, take it twice as long. Last time ain't talking about Tylenol. Oh, I bet you'd like to know. You can come around the way if you're trying to go. If you want to switch lanes for a pot of gold or a domino, out of control. The usual. Get mad cause I'm looking at your girl. Switch it up. I do it so much louder than everything you've heard. Everybody heard, got the word that the world wasn't turning. Act like you're in a jury of how we're turning, where I was turning. Can't I lie like Mississippi burning. Don't act like you're in a daze. I imagine you to look the other way. Couldn't clear space on my mind, was afraid of the time. Strobe lights like in the moonlight.